This is
Good morning. I'm Timothy Walker, and I'm joined by Phil Marsh from the Running Room as we focus the next hour of all of Roger's coverage on what would we call it? Recreational runners, amateur runners, enthusiasts. We've been covering the elites all morning, and those were some very exciting races. And the other thing, Phil Marsh, is wow, the weather has changed so much over this weekend, right?
Yeah.
We were pouring rain last night,
Yeah.
and now the heat. And I'm actually looking behind me as there's some people who are they're just keeling over.
Yeah.
So let's talk about that first, because with these amateur athletes, sometimes this is their first event, and it's getting very, very hot out now.
Yeah, I think if you're ever going to plan a wedding, you would schedule it for the Sunday of race weekend, because you are guaranteed that you're going to have sunshine, blue skies, and high temperatures, because it just never fails, no
Always
matter,
is.
even the week before.
Right.
We haven't had any warm weather to train through this, and now magically we have summer. I mean, and it's gone up literally 10 degrees since in the last hour.
And just because I have you here and you're an expert in this, with last night and the pouring rain and this morning, let's just talk about the elites a little bit,
Yeah.
because some of them were coming across just an hour or two ago
Yeah.
in some pretty rough shape.
Yeah, Krista, I was talking to Krista Deshane, and she's tons of experience. She said the heat really started to hit her at about 25, 30K.
Yeah.
She had trained in heat. She trained actually in a treadmill in a hot room for the last month in Guelph, trying to get acclimated to this as well, just knowing Ottawa is going to be hot.
Yeah.
The African athletes, it doesn't hit them for a couple of reasons. The elites are only out there for a couple of hours, so the dynamics are a little bit different.
Because they're so fast.
Yeah, so they're so fast, But the rest of the athletes that are out here now that are going to finish in even 3 hours, 4 hours, 5 hours, 6 hours, the dynamics are dramatically different from how your blood thickens when you get dehydrated, from dehydration, from losing energy, from blood sugar, muscle fatigue, the wind. There's a lot of little things that the elites really, it doesn't make it easier, but they really don't have to face those challenges that the rest of the athletes do.
Right. And I mean, I'm just looking at the clocks, and, we're an hour and a half into the half, but some of these, what we would call amateur recreational athletes, are coming in with a 3.5 hour marathon.
Yeah.
That is still pretty amazing.
Yeah, it's very fast. The average marathon finishing time in North America now is probably around 4:15. So we're not even at the average yet, which is why we can actually see pavement, because when the majority start coming across on the half marathoners. But again, you hate to stereotype, but as the temperature goes up, probably the average weight of the runners goes up, the average age of the runners goes up, the average fitness level compared to the elites changes a little bit, but everything that can possibly go against the average athlete is going to affect them.
And the other thing, too, we talked about the up and down of the last 24 hours, but we also haven't had time to train in warmth for people that are from Ottawa. And how does that overall weather situation, I mean, it's been snowing since October.
Yeah, and we saw the kind of precursor to it with Boston Marathon. Boston, all of our runners had to train in, I moved here in '99, probably the worst conditions I've ever trained in since I moved here 20 years. Our Boston runners had, on race day, went up to 22, had sunburns. None of them had prepared for that because they'd been running in a terrible winter. And now, even this, we've only had a couple of weeks of actual kind of plus consistent temperatures, so nobody's had anything like this yet. So you can't prepare for it unless you're Krista, who and you can get a room with a treadmill, a heated room. One of the upsides.
I've done hot yoga. I have
same
not
idea.
done hot treadmill running.
Same idea. Different clothes, but same idea. But yeah, you can prepare a little bit for that. But I think mentally is the hardest part, is that you go out, you've trained all winter, you've gone out with a certain goal, and then all of a sudden the clouds break and the sun hits you and you can feel your body temperature going up, and right away you're kind of, what's this going to do to me because I haven't had a time to train. So I think it's as much psychologically as it is physiological for most of these athletes.
And when you looked at the numbers, there's been a decrease this year in enrollment. I think, you know, at the peak it was 48,000. This year was 32,000, but we were dealing with a bridge that got closed due to flooding, and also Elgin Street, right? Yep. Are those the factors? Did that bring the number down? Yeah, I think
I think we've kind of flatlined a little bit in terms of the numbers, because you have to remember the challenges as well. You know, when people are doing 3 or 4 events, add numbers too. So I would say we're probably 30,000 individuals. It's still a huge event, but we're coming from over, as you said, over 48,000 when it was, you know, one of the biggest running festivals in North America. People are getting into different things. Millennials are wired differently, as we all, you know, kind of joke, but there's a lot of different dynamics in place now. A lot of people don't like doing things that are timed. A lot of people are tired of running on asphalt. You look at things like Mud Hero, and you look at CrossFit, and you look at these big bike tours. A lot of people now are saying, okay, you know what I've done? I've gone up from the 2K with my kids to the 10K to the marathon over the last 5-10 years. I loved it. But you know what? Let's all go do something different. So, you know, I don't think it diminishes the event. You know, it's still one of the highest standard races in the world. But I think it's a reflection of the public saying, you know what? My attention span maybe is going to something different. The hope is that Ottawa Race Weekend, the Tamarack Ottawa Race Weekend, has been a catalyst over the last 10 years for all these people to get moving and get active, and then maybe they take that to different activities. And you've done that too with different sports as well. I was
going to say, I stopped it at 10. I trained for a half, but then I got injured. Yeah. When certainly age becomes a factor. But you talked about the younger people, but I wanted to say there were in this 400 Ashbury students who participated, and Ashbury, you're going to be so impressed with these young people. They've been part of the race since 1997, obviously not the same students. They graduated, and they have raised $310,000 for cancer research at the Ottawa Hospital. So we have this story.
Johnson, and I'm in grade 10 at Ashbury College. In my gym class, we've been training to run for I'm doing the 5K personally, but everyone can do like different races, and we're all coming together to raise money for cancer programs at the Ottawa Hospital.
I'm taking part of the Ottawa Race Weekend because I've had family members who struggle with cancer, and to do this really shows awareness, and it's really something I'm proud of.
So we have all of our grade 9, 10, 11, and 12 physical education students, and some of our junior school students participating in either the 2, 5, 10 half marathon run, and a lot of our staff as well. And some of them are participating in the marathon.
It's important for young people to give back in general, because especially on this type of issue, we have to get as much awareness as we can, and for the Ottawa Race Weekend to have everyone running, which is also a good activity, to also get money or donations or anything you can do volunteering, really spreads awareness, and it really gets us all involved.
I think the whole idea is like a really good cause. I think everyone coming together in Ottawa, like old people, young people, teenagers like us, I think it's a really good way to just come together as a community and help something for a good cause that's local.
It's important for the kids to realize that we have a lot of benefits living in Ottawa. One of the hugest ones is the Ottawa Hospital and the service they provide for this Ottawa and the surrounding community. And whether they realize it now or in the future, everybody benefits. And unfortunately, chances are some of their family members are going to have to use some of the services at the Ottawa Hospital, specifically the cancer programs, and the cancer research is a huge part of that, and we really hope that they are able to continue excelling in that field.
Well, I've had to do 3 training logs so far. It's about over a 4-week period of doing exercise over the weekend, after school, or in gym class. It really helps us get ready for this run, this 5K or 10K, whatever you're running. Running is important to me because I like to stay fit. I play sports, I play soccer, and this is actually my 3rd year doing the run. So for me and my class, it's something that we always look forward to.
We just want to promote lifelong fitness. So once they graduate from Ashbury, whatever university, post-secondary education they choose to do, that they're still able to be fit adults and can lead a healthy life, and then hopefully pass that on to friends, family, future children. It's just such a great event in Ottawa. It's very well run, and a lot of them have never been exposed to a race before. And a lot of our international students just have no idea what to expect, and they're shocked at just the sheer volume of numbers that are participating. It started in about 1997, and it initially started with just our track and field team. So we had about 30 members participate along with some staff. And then it just kind of grew from there. And then about 7 years later, we started doing it with all of our physical education students, and it grew exponentially.
When I cross that finish line, I'll personally be thinking of my grandpa and all the people in my family who struggled with cancer, and how we're doing this and we're running for a reason.
Well, my old friend, John Stanton, founder of the Running Room, has joined us, and just, you know, when we were watching that story about the 400 Ashbury students, future marathoners, we're just looking out at the crowd, and the heat is really starting to show on some of these athletes. What are they experiencing out there, John?
Well, you know, we heard from the elites athletes, you know, when they came across Dana Pedarowski and Rachel Hanna as an example. Rachel's a nutritionalist, and so is Krista Duchesne, and they were talking about how important hydration and nutrition is on a day like today, because it started off with ideal conditions. They were cool, light breeze blowing, and low humidity. Now the humidity has shot up, and the temperatures are getting up in the low 20s, and you can see the effects that it's having on them. You can see the elite athletes. Reed Colesall, when he was out there, said that, you know, from about 30K on, he was really working at it. And, you know, we were watching him. His form maintained good. You know, he had fine form, but he was having to really watch his pace and really work hard at concentrating and making sure to keep his liquid intake up so that he didn't get dehydrated on it, because it could sneak up on you on a day like today.
Right. And for these participants here, a lot of them, this is their first time, right? I mean, because we see your training sessions for a lot of people, because they're entering their first one, whether yesterday, you know, 2, 5, 10, half. So these are tough conditions to be finishing your first one.
Well, you know, with our recreational athletes, we teach them well. We tell them that, you know, 2 hours before the start of a marathon or half marathon, they should have 500 milliliters of water, which is your standard water bottle that they should have. They should empty their bladder in the last hour and not drink anything in the last hour. And then throughout the race, we encourage them to take water, not just take water at the aid stations, but take water, and every 10 minutes at those 10-minute intervals, have a sip, because they have to think about how much hydration they're losing. They're losing hydration two ways. Through their breathing, there's a loss of moisture, and through perspiration, there's loss of moisture. And in order to keep your performance up so your blood doesn't get thicker, and that's what happens when we get dehydrated, our blood gets thicker, so our whole system has to work harder. You want to stay well hydrated, and if you can stay well hydrated, it makes a huge difference in their performance and a huge difference in their recovery time as well.
And Phil, can you hear me? Yep. When you're doing because I know that you're out actually teaching, and John talking about it's not just about one foot in front of the other, right? There's a whole science that has to go into this, and I did 2 of your courses actually. So it's actually the theory part, the knowledge is important too to tackle something like this. I mean, this is a marathon and a half marathon. We're seeing thousands of people, but it's an enormous undertaking.
Yeah, it's, you know, especially obviously the environmental factors, people having to train through a Canadian winter with footing, with temperature changes, things like that. But yeah, there's definitely a lot to it in terms of things like flexibility and cross-training, core strength that we all know now, running technique, and as Krista would tell you, the fuel. You know, it's just like an exotic race car. The better that, you know, the higher the fuel, the better, the more efficient it burns, and the cleaner it burns, and the better it is for your system. So the right equipment, you have to learn so much, and that's why we, you know, with the running room, we prepare people over 16 or 18 weeks, because there is a lot of classroom that they need to learn to step to the start line.
John, you go to a lot of events, right? You're still...
Yeah, every weekend.
Yeah, every weekend you're at an event, but we know you like this one the best.
Oh, it is. Yeah, no, it is. It's a very
What is
special
it about
event.
this one that you
Well,
love?
it's truly a community event. You know, you look at the history of it. It's 45 years this year. How it started as this small event, and I ran it years ago when it was a very small event, starting out at Carleton University. And I can tell you that it is, you know, the community has become engaged. And it's a symbol of what needs to happen in Canada. In Canada, you know, we have this primary concern about the aging baby boomer and the obesity rates in our youth. And what events like this do is they prove to people that being an athlete is something you can embrace lifelong. It's just not something you do as a kid, and it's not something that when you become 25 you give up on. You know, we get people who are in their 25s and 30s and 40s and 50s, 60s and 70s still starting a running program. And you know, there was a lady out that was 94 years old last night in the 5K, and there was a gentleman that was 80.
95.
95, an 80-year-old gentleman who ran a very respectable time. We had a sub 40-minute 70-year-old out there. So that's what it's about. It's a celebration of community, and it builds a sense of community, gets that message on fitness and wellness in a time that we need more community activities as well.
The other thing that I wanted to ask you about is I know we focus a lot on the runners, but you know, when we're looking at demographics, your walking program is really important too, because people need to understand that they don't have to, you know, do a 3-hour 46-minute marathon. There are other options.
Well, that's right. And you know, one of the big events for the walkers is the half marathon, because they start with the half marathon and they start with the runners. We ask them to start at the back so the runners get clear the area, and then the walkers clear. But you know, some of the walkers end up passing some of the runners because some of them are brisk walking or race walking. And for many people, some of them are ex-runners who became injured and may have an arthritic hip or an arthritic knee that can't take the intensity of running any longer, but can still get out there and enjoy the celebration, enjoy the atmosphere here. It's a party atmosphere.
Oh, it is.
At the start and at the finish line. And they want to be part of that. They want to get the T-shirt, they want to get the medal, and they want to cross that finish line and get that Olympic moment that last 100 yards brings to everybody.
Right. When you founded the running room, things were really different, right? And almost kind of non-existent in terms of, you know, this kind of thing. And now, every time I see one of these jackets, I kind of have a little chuckle to myself because, you know, I live near the canal and I see the groups on Sundays. And when you see this and the lives that you have impacted, how does it make you feel, and does it ever get old?
No, it never gets old and never gets non-exciting. I can tell you every time I hear a success story, and you hear all sorts of success stories where people use running to help ground them, and it could be that they've given up alcohol, or they've quit smoking, or they've lost some weight, they've had a move, or they've had a divorce, or they've had some tragedy in their life where
Sorry,
they've
I'm
lost
smiling because I was like, or became single, you know.
Became single, yeah.
Yep.
But the nice part is they can meet other people, in like-minded people who are positive at every age. You know, you see the university student running alongside the university prof, and they're sharing a common goal, and they're sharing a respect for one another, because we all know that everybody that's crossing this finish line had to have the courage to do the training, had to have the courage this morning when they nervously went down to the start line to toe the start line, and then they had to have the tenacity and the willpower and the sense of camaraderie and community to see themselves through to the finish line as well. So it never gets tired.
Yeah,
and you see the elation on people, and you can see that, you know, sometimes you come in and think, oh, that person just missed 3 hours, or they just missed 4 hours, you know, and we're kind of thinking, oh, that's too bad they did it. And they're there, you know, doing arm pumps and slapping their high fives because they've done a personal best time. I
was thinking that with the Canadian female champion, and that, you know, she was crying because she was so disappointed in herself. And I was saying to her in the interview, you're the Canadian champion. I mean, I know how seriously they take times, but I just wanted to ask you before we have to go, running and your life. I mean, this is, you know,
What is my life?
You're preaching to the choir, right? This is something that transformed you.
Yes, it did.
And was an important part of, we're seeing people lie down behind us again, but it was an important part of your life. You're not just telling other people what to do.
No, and I think that helps in us relating to them. You know, it's like we do the friendship run. We always start with the leaders in the friendship run with them, and then gradually move to the back. Because I remember what it was like running at the back of the pack, you know, where I could only run one set of light standards because I was huffing and puffing so hard I couldn't run any further. And, you know, that's how we introduced our walk-run program. But, you know, people, we've proven to them if they break their big goal down into a series of small goals, you can do anything. If you surround yourself with like-minded people, you can do anything in life. And running a marathon, running a half marathon, walking one or running one, knows that if you have an intelligent goal, a group of people that share in the journey and share in the celebration, you can do anything in life. And it's not just about running, it's about a message and a metaphor on life.
I think I read that exact thing in one of your books. It's good to see you again. I know we kept passing, but I wanted to tell you before you go, John Stanton, about the Ottawa Sports Hall of Fame, because now there's a marathon exhibit. I went to go see it on Friday when we were having the news conference, and they worked with the city, so they've set up this exhibit, and I saw it, it's in a glass enclosure, and it's showcasing a spectacular array of artifacts. We're now artifacts, I think. Photos, videos, and relics collected from 1975. Thank you very much.
I've been called a lot of things. First time I've been called a relic.
Might not be the last.
We're launching a new exhibit at the Ottawa Sport Hall of Fame. Ottawa Race Weekend, Tamarack Ottawa Race Weekend is having for the next 3 months, they're taking over the physical space of the Ottawa Sport Hall of Fame and doing their own exhibits of shoes, of old t-shirts, displays, flags. They're going to have an interactive one eventually come. It's not here right now, but it's going to come. And we're just celebrating part of Ottawa sporting heritage.
Well, we're opening the Tamarack Ottawa Race Weekend, Scotiabank Ottawa Marathon Hall of Fame exhibit, which is going to be running for the next 3 months, I think, really showcasing the 45-year history of the marathon and everything that's gone on since then.
It's just wonderful to be here today. I can't tell you, it's so exciting to see this exhibit. You know, the marathon is such a huge thing in Ottawa, and to have an exhibit actually downtown at City Hall, like in the middle of the action, is just wonderful. And it's going to be here for several months, so even if you can't get here while the marathon's on, which might be challenging, people can come and see it anytime over the summer, and it's wonderful. It's really good.
It recognizes the growth and the importance of the race for our capital city. Starting in 1975, I wasn't born, but you know, there was a lot of people with great ideas that built the program, and now to what it's become, really a showcase in our capital city. That it'd be the smaller distances, the 5K to the full marathon. There's something for everyone, and as part of that, the community really comes together with all the volunteers that it takes to run such a big race.
Well, I think it's a reflection of what this event means to the city. You know, when it started, it was small, and it's grown, and now it, of course, it involves not just the runners, but the touristic aspect. It involves charities, school kids, and a whole lot of different things for the community. And I think, you know, this is a reflection of that meaning to us. I mean, we're basically on the race site, so this will, I think, will be open during the race weekend itself. And it's a beautiful building. This is a very historic building, and this room is very, very unique. And to have our trophies and old shirts and some of these things on display here is kind of cool. And I hope a lot of people will take it in.
Alan McCartney is on the board. He's one of the main guys who runs Ottawa Race Weekend. He was on our board a number of years ago. So he came to us and said, listen, we do an event. He really had to leave because their event is 1 week before our event, which is May 31 and they're May 24th. He goes, can we do something in the hall? I go, in the physical hall, we want to drive traffic here. Let's create an excuse, create an opportunity. He goes, good, can we come in with displays, take over the whole place? We went, well, we hadn't thought of that before, but sure, let's give it a shot. So he created, between them, they came up with this idea, let's create the environment where we can showcase. I go, great, as long as you don't cover our honored members, that is fine. But you know, we're celebrating them, they're celebrating us. It's a great partnership that way.
A great partnership indeed, and now we're going to talk about more really amazing community initiatives. And Frank Bilodeau is here, District VP from Scotiabank. Seen this brand over a few places here in over Race Weekend, so thank you very much for your tremendous sponsorship over the years. But one of the things that we wanted to speak with you about is the impact that you are having on community groups and charities. So can you tell us about that?
Absolutely. I mean, we're really proud to be here as a sponsor of the marathon and the half marathon, but even more proud to be part of the Scotiabank Charity Challenge. And that's a program that actually is taking place across Canada, from Vancouver right across to Halifax. And it's an amazing program where athletes, when they sign up, can dedicate their run or fundraise for the charity of their choice, which is an amazing feeling to go out and improve yourself through your athleticism, and then also, give back to the community at the same time. So
I wanted to ask you about, what kind of charities, how many, but first, Phil, I wanted to ask you, because you're on the front line.
Yep.
It's a very personal decision for someone, right, to decide what they're running for. And what I actually found in my own experience with the running room and classes is we often don't want to take the time for ourselves to train for a major event, because it's a lot of time away from your family or your kids. But if you run for someone else, right? So talk to me a little bit about that.
Yeah, I think everybody's, there's 30,000 stories, and we all, John and I especially hear them every day. We hear hundreds, and they're all exciting. They're all unique. One of my guys from Harvest House I was talking to last week is 10 years sober, Josh. 2 kids. He's got his master's degree now. He's working in healthcare.
We ran together in the woods that day with them. Yeah.
So that's one of those stories where he's now running, and he's trying to fundraise for Harvest House himself. People that have been, my dad was in the Ottawa Civic before he passed away in December, and the care that we got from the stroke team was just beyond what you can imagine. The nurses, the doctors, the entire staff were so compassionate, so amazing. And so, that's going to even kind of get me in the fall to think, okay, you know what, I'm going to run an event again and do some fundraising. But also a lot of my friends are doing it because they know what an experience myself and my dad had. So, I think for Scotiabank to be able to kind of be the facilitator of that, they know the money side, and they have so many wonderful staff.
They know a thing or two about money.
Yeah. We should partner with the Mint and just make some. But, Scotiabank's community involvement, right from hockey to, even the Raptors last night, it's that branding that we associate with feeling good about being Canadians and hit the legacy of something as long as Scotiabank's been. So having you guys involved in the charity side just makes total sense.
Well, on Thursday, I do, every second Thursday, I do a column on an inspirational figure for the Ottawa Sun, and I'm doing Phoebe Rose coming up because the whole group of them did the 5K yesterday. Young child who died of cancer and has now inspired, and with your program, this whole movement to raise money to help kids with cancer. So just tell us a bit more about sort of the variety of causes that sign up, because when you look at the website, there's a lot.
Yeah, there's actually 70 charities this year. Yeah, up from last year, which is a great news story.
Yeah.
And, the charities, like you say, it would be too long to list, but a couple of the majors that we know of here in Ottawa, like CHEO and the Ottawa Hospital Foundation. But then there's lesser known charities like Good Companion Center that have had started a program
an important
here.
center that Phil and I would know about.
Yeah, and so it goes right through the spectrum. And what's really good about the program is it's Scotiabank really offers that turnkey platform where, if you're a charity and not dependent on your scale, but if you want to have an interest and you have a story to tell and you want to get people involved and you want them to come out and raise some money for your cause, we can get you onto the backbone, and then Scotiabank picks up all the interchange fees, so all the money that's being raised is being put right through to the charity. So it's it's a great great way for Scotiabank to get involved in the community and help.
Yeah, and I mean, just a little history, because I was on the board of directors for Race Weekend for a long time, and why I'm particularly grateful for this program is, you know, this is a pretty large event to organize, and we had many discussions around the board table about the fact that we wanted to increase the philanthropy piece. But, you know, it's in some cases, volunteer board, few staff members, as you know, working on a pretty tight budget, and we just didn't know how to implement something that was going to attract that many people. And then you came onto the scene and made it easy, right? That's the thing, is that people can sign up and it's ease of use. It's not a highly complicated platform.
Agreed. And it does offer the opportunity for, as an individual that's supporting a charity and dedicating your run, you know, technology's to the point where, you know, you can invite your friends and family and colleagues to invite through the platform, which makes it nice because you can set one email. It helps you do all of that wonderful, you know, approach, and then it creates awareness too a lot of times, which is really good.
Did I hear you say at the news conference on Friday that you also run?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes. So I've had a few medals hanging in my closet from various years, from high school through university, and then even in and around Ottawa. So yeah, I'm passionate about sports.
So what's it like for you to be on that side, coming in?
It's amazing.
And see your company name on that.
Yeah, I mean, it's a real prideful moment to be a longtime employee of the organization, which I, you know, have a great relationship with, to see them here in the community doing great things, and to be part of that as a participant and receive the benefit of what Scotiabank's doing. The last few years, I've changed my focus a little bit. I've gone out and I've gone to, because we're a pretty big crew of Scotiabankers here in the Greater Ottawa area. We're like over 1,300 employees.
I saw a lot of them out on the course.
Yeah, exactly. And what I've been doing is some of our new employees that haven't been, you know, kind of experienced the run and experienced the weekend and experienced the power of charity, I've been gathering them, and we pick a particular charity, and I've been, you know, going in the 5K with them, and just, you know, yesterday I did one with Alicia, and Alicia is a, you know, third year in a wheelchair now, and decided that she is going to experience this event. So I wanted, having been here and understood what it was all about, I made sure that we lined up in the corral together. We went through the event, and it was a great experience. And she's coming back next year, so there's another champion, right? And she raised money for MS, for her grandmother. So
just one last question is, on the other side, it would seem to me that's an incredible team building initiative, because it kind of goes both ways, right? You're raising money for other people, but it's also good for your company to have that positive and healthy lifestyle.
Absolutely. You're promoting so many good core values, and the core values that Scotiabank wants to bring to the table, you know, and one of them is youth and fitness and health, and that's really where we're trying to make a big difference. So the Scotiabank Kids Marathon is a nice volley into that.
Oh, it was so great.
Yeah, I was able to launch that this morning and talk to the kids briefly, and it was like, man, the energy in that group was unbelievable.
And that's how you help them understand that this is a lifestyle for life, right? By making it thrilling.
Agreed.
We're going to stop now, because we have now the people crossing, and there's some interesting fundraising characters out there, but also some people just having a really good bonding time. So we're just going to show you some of those.
We're here right now with Randy Cornelissa, who has quite an interesting story. Randy, this is not your only marathon of the season.
No, 12 marathons in 7 months before the start of October, before I turn 50.
Why?
I couldn't afford the sports car for my breakdown. Yeah.
All right.
So.
And how are they going so far? What number marathon is this for you in that series?
I did conquer the Canuck this weekend. It was tough. And this is number 5 marathon. So every 2 weeks, pretty much I'm doing one.
Okay. How did today's go for you?
Oh, it was tough. 4:40 or something like that. I thought anything under 4, because I raced the 5 and 10 hard. So. Hey, buddy. Good job, pal. So I didn't want to do. I want to do them both hard before the marathon, and it's a really bad idea.
Okay. So sorry, you did the 5 and 10 yesterday?
Yeah. Okay. The 2, 5, and 10 for the whole challenge.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. And is there something you're trying to prove before you turn 50?
Oh, I mean, stay healthy if you can do it, and I hope to kind of motivate people. You know, it's just, yeah, just get out there and do it. Yeah, that's it.
Do you share your story with other people and try to encourage them?
Oh yeah, definitely. I'm a bit of a chatty Cathy, so yeah. So anyway, and had a couple sponsors help me. Flynn is one of them. I got a great massage therapist. They all keep me in it, and everybody, you know, it's good. People hear the story, and I think there's more stories than mine, obviously. I'm just one. It's not a big deal compared to some of them. And, you know, yeah, you just hope to inspire some people and stay healthy doing it.
How do you choose the marathons you do?
I needed a marathon to basically space out my recovery, because 2 weeks is not much. So when I did back-to-back weeks, Waterloo and Toronto, 3 weeks ago, so this is the most recovery I'll have this year. And so I just had to space it out like that. And I've done Ottawa before. It was 2 years ago I did it, and really liked the course. And I qualified for Boston here, so yeah, it was an easy fit, so it worked out.
Okay, and what's your next marathon?
Oh, it's my first trail marathon. It's Conquer the Canuck in, I want to say Cambridge, but I may have that wrong.
Okay. And where's the farthest you're going from Hanover?
I've been to Rhode Island already when my girlfriend was racing Boston. I'll go to Pennsylvania, and I'm going to do the Montreal Rock and Roll Marathon too. So.
Well, good luck, and happy early birthday.
Thanks a lot.
Thanks so much, Randy.
All right, thanks.
All right, we're seeing a lot of activity here as we're at the 4:05 for the marathon for recreational runners and the 2:06. So we're into that window, Phil Marsh, where when I look down, it's just thousands and thousands of people. So this is really the busiest period, right, for the next 20 minutes or so?
Yeah, and this is the fun part for us, I think, because this is our, this is our clinic person. This is, for a lot of these people, this is their Mount Everest. This is their Olympics. This is their, their finish line, their medal. They're going to tell every friend, every person on the planet, they're going to wear that medal to work for the next week.
Yeah.
But this is where you really see the average person doing something extraordinary and something that they really didn't think they were capable of doing.
Yeah, there's a few of them that are extraordinarily sick too coming across the finish line right now because they've really pushed it. But what you were saying is it's actually getting, even though we're getting cloud cover, it's getting hotter because of the asphalt.
Yeah, so the heat will come down obviously from the top, but even if the clouds kind of calm the sun down, the asphalt retains heat, and so when you're driving on a hot day, sometimes you can see the little bit of the waver in the optics.
Yes.
Well, that's the heat.
You're running through
rising,
that,
right? So you're running through that, and your legs are having to, as John was saying, having to perspire, and so the hotter your legs are, the more fatigue you're going to get, right? And your body temperature increases. So, there's a lot of dynamics at work here.
Yeah.
And even one of the little things that you probably don't think about is for drainage, roads are canted.
Right.
Just a little bit, so the water drains off. Well, when you're running, if you run on one side the whole time, you're going to have, your ankles are going to be kind of on one side. So as a runner, you want to run the straightest line you can, run the tangents we call it, but you also want to make sure that you're running a little bit kind of side to side so that you're not getting one side a little bit more sore than the other. So just a lot of little things that you learn. Every race, you learn something.
Yeah, when these people are coming in now and you're seeing the effect of the heat, you also train people about hydration and amounts, and I know that the belts and they're pre-measured, and that can keep people out of some pretty significant health challenges. It can,
and Timothy, one of the biggest things that people have to look at as well is you need to have a plan A and a plan B. So your plan A is that, it's only 12 degrees when I start, and it's forecast to be cloudy and cool. So awesome. So here's what I'm going to try to race. I'm going to take this much nutrition. I'm going to take this much hydration because I'm going to be out there X amount of time. Well, if you don't have a plan B, and what happens today, all of a sudden temperature goes up 10, 12 degrees or more. If you haven't had a plan B and you're still trying to run that plan A time, you're in for big trouble because the heat is going to really impact your entire system. Yeah. So you need psychologically and physically to have a plan A and a plan B.
We're going to go back down to Glenda now, who's at the finish and has some interesting folks to talk to.
And we're here now with Pace Bunny, as you can see by the ears, Brian Gerson, who came in from Toronto to do that. Brian, how did it go for you today?
It was a hot one, but it was fun.
Okay.
We had a good time.
All right. So what made you come in to do this with the Ottawa race this weekend?
I like giving back. I like helping other people finish, and it was a great opportunity to see a new city.
How does somebody become a pace bunny?
I think there's a lot of luck, and I think there's a little bit of knowing the right people and asking at the right time, and a bunch of those things fell into place for me, and I got on a list, and then I was asked.
So people just apply to be a pace bunny, and then they can be chosen for it. Do you have to try out in any way or prove yourself?
You do have to show previous finish times within 6 to 8 months of the race date, and I had a finish time that was slightly faster than what I was on pace for today.
And at this point in your running career, do you prefer being a pace bunny, or do you prefer just being one of the regular runners?
Until I find that right goal, I enjoy being a pace bunny, because I know that pace bunnies have helped me in the past, and it's a great way to pay it forward.
And how many races do you do in a season as a bunny?
Probably two, maybe three races as a pace bunny, and then maybe 2 or 3 more on my own.
And how was the race today? I know the weather's played a role and the new routes played a role.
It was definitely a hot one. The beginning 2 kilometers were very close together, quite packed, and but all told, it was a great view and great sights that we got to see today.
What was the highlight for you?
Just being out there, being able to do it.
Well, thank you so much for volunteering your time that way.
Thank you.
You've been a bunny, I'm sure. You've been a bunny. One of the things I wanted to ask you about, we're talking about hydration, and there was a few questions this morning about what happened to the elite water table when the table was not there, but their bottles were all there, which is all pre-mixed for them and very specific to them. I do want to remind people that this is an enormous volunteer run. People are quick to point fingers, but a lot of people are here on their own time helping. However, talk to me about the implication for the elite runners of not having a station where they could just scoop and run, as opposed to they had to get down and pick it up themselves.
Yeah, well, we saw the race was lost at the 40K mark water station. Whatever happened, I'm not sure, because we were watching it on TV, but the 2 leaders, the runner who ended up in second, stopped, and you could see him actually stumble. He just took a regular glass of water at the water or noon, whatever it was, and he lost about 20 meters in that gap, and the other runner, to his credit, kept going and took advantage of that time. But there's drug testing. It's a gold label race. A lot of these people are trying to make Olympic standards or national records. Cash bonuses, sponsors, things like that. So there is such a science to the nutrition that these people will take. They'll stage the nutrition. For you and I, for example, for a marathon, we might go out and have, let's say, 4 gels. The first one, we might have no caffeine because we're feeling fine. The next gel, we might have one that has 1 level of caffeine. And you can actually buy them so it's 1, 2, or 3 stage caffeine. So maybe by the 40K mark, you and I need a little bit of caffeine to keep moving. But our nutrition would stay, well, that too. but we would stage our nutrition. So imagine the elites. That's fully engineered by sports scientists, by full-time researchers. So whatever that formulation is pre-established.
Right.
And also, you don't want to risk taking just regular water or something. Somebody could spike it. There could be,
And then you fail your drug test.
And you fail your drug test, and you have no recourse. So it seems like not a big issue, but for the elites who, you got to remember, they're making a living doing this. They're professionals, and there are a lot of standards they have to maintain. They're drug tested as soon as they get in. So if nothing else, it may weigh on them that, wow, you know what, I don't have that nutrition that I need for the last 5K.
Right. So if they went past that, the 15K, because it was down on the ground, and I mean, they run so fast, they throw off a breeze.
And they're not going to reach down, I can tell you right now.
Reach down and also maybe lightheaded or dangerous or, or if the first one did it and the other ones could bump in. So that kind of strategy is something that with the elite athletes is all planned out in advance. But I like what you're saying about the fact that regular athletes, regular participants need to think about this too. And electrolytes and all that, especially when it's this hot.
Yeah, there's a lot of science behind it. It's the good and bad about the internet is there's so much information, but there's so much information. So, you know, I still think, you know, and again, back to Krista DeShane and you know, one of the girls I coach, Carrie Lebrecq, is a nutritionist as well. You really want to find people you trust. But, you know, I have a car that's fairly high maintenance, my summer car. And I have a mechanic who I trust more than probably my doctor and my lawyer, right? And he also bills more per hour. But he's got my credit card on file, and I would never.
We need to talk about your priorities, Phil.
But I would never risk offending him by asking him what he's doing, or because I know even when I ask dumb questions, he's billing me. Right. But I trust him impeccably, because if I don't, something blows up and I'm done. So nutrition, same thing.
Right.
It's so important. It's your body, right? So if you don't take care of it and have the right fuel, you can be in big trouble.
Yeah. We're just going to go back to Glenna, but I just wanted to finish that thought, is that what you don't see is when I go to interview the elites after they've won, there is an anti-doping bodyguard with them, because they have their own water that they're allowed to drink. So it's a very fascinating behind-the-scenes look there. But now we're going to go back to Glenna with somebody who probably isn't being tested.
And we're here now with Stéphane Bouffard, who has just finished the half marathon. Stéphane, how was it for you?
Very good. I enjoyed it a lot.
Why was this a good race for you today?
Honestly, as far as race results go, based off of what I was recording on my watch, I believe this was my personal best so far for the half marathon race.
After 3 or 4 times?
Yes.
Okay. And what was your objective coming into it today?
Just honestly to do my best.
Okay. And why did you run this race today?
Primarily for the challenge, to be honest. I've always liked to run, and I'll take any opportunity that I can get.
Okay. And you are a member of the Forces. Was there a special reason why you ran as a member of the Forces?
No, aside from supporting my fellow Forces members.
All right. Well, congratulations. Thank you so much.
No, thank you very much.
We're looking behind here, and you probably can't see it, but there's this little boy underneath us who's walking with one of those, you know, big fake checks, because of all the amazing fundraising that is happening here this weekend. And you can see, you know, people who are, you know, wearing shirts that say running for this and running for that. And, you know, it's a really heartwarming thing. And Phil, I know there are a lot of people who come here as, you know, family to cheer on a loved one, and they leave here thinking, I want to do this, right? And then they have to learn how to run.
Yeah, which you know, we're obviously quite happy about.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think, you know, we look at Ottawa, at the Tamarack Ottawa Race Weekend, as kind of a family affair. So, you know what, if you're a young couple or a young person, you maybe run the 5 or 10K, and then you get married, you maybe have a kid, so, you know, you do the one does the half, one does the 5K, you know, alternating looking after the kids. Then the kids are old enough to do the 2K, and then the 5K, then the 10K, and then dad and mom maybe have moved up to the half marathon and marathon. Then grandma and grandpa come out, and maybe they do the 2K with the kids or the 5K. And so generationally, you could spend 10-year gap from, you know, over your lifespan to doing every event, and then your family doing every event. So I think, unlike going to, say, Chicago Marathon, where it's a marathon, the Tamarack Ottawa Race Weekend, you can grow. You can literally grow with the event, and it becomes a family and a work and a friends and colleagues event. And I think that's been part of the big success of it, is always, you know, being able to participate in a Canadian championship, right? The 10K and the marathon. You can't go out and play the same championship as Tiger Woods. You can't go out and play the same championship as you know, our tennis players, but you're on the same finish result as the Canadian champion. Which is a really kind of neat thing to post up and work.
I find it interesting you talk about the demographics, because I never thought about it this way, but you're right. I mean, you know, I was doing 10s, but then my daughter came along and she did the 2, and then she did the 5 with me, and then I have to say she did not enjoy doing the 10 with me. That was not a peaceful day in our relationship. So you're right. And then, you know, my friends joined programs, and it just sort of spread out from there. So back to Glenna now with a lot of very happy faces down there, and she's talking to someone else who just finished.
We're here now with Antonio Arnold, who has just finished your race. Can you tell us a little bit about your experience?
So first time running a full marathon, really cool time. I decided to do the lumberjack challenge. So yesterday I ran the 2, the 5, and the 10, and today I ran the 42.2. Really hard, but it was a great time. It was cool seeing the community come out, people with a bunch of signs, a lot of kids. Yeah, it was just like a really fun day.
You look like you just ran a 2K and that's it. It doesn't look like it's been a stress for you at all.
On the outside, but on the inside I am dying right now.
So what was the hardest part of the whole challenge? Was it today?
Probably just the training leading up to it. Today is a little bit easier, even though you're running faster because everyone's going there, but there's a lot of people motivating you, giving high fives, they got funny signs, so it just gives you that extra little push to go a little bit faster.
So was that the best part, seeing the community out supporting you?
Yeah, and running through all the different neighborhoods in Ottawa and the Gatineau side as well, just seeing how beautiful the city is and seeing people from all over the world and the country come and check it out is pretty awesome.
And where are you from?
Born in the U.S., but I was raised in Ottawa, so I consider Ottawa home. Yeah.
All right, well, congratulations and thanks for participating.
Thank you very much. Cheers. Have a great day, guys.
we're looking at someone who's decided that here on the grass behind us is a good place to just have a little lie down, and we're seeing a lot of that. And I wanted to get back to the volunteers though, Phil, because talk about the profound impact of the volunteers, because it's not just here. Yeah. They're all along the route.
Yeah.
Right? Cheering stations, people get dressed up.
The reality is you literally couldn't do the event without volunteers.
No.
There's just no way. How could you afford to pay the a couple of hundred medical staff that are here?
Right.
It's basically a hospital. So these events, they depend completely on volunteers. Some of the jobs are terribly tedious. Some are standing there in Rockcliffe 6 in the morning waiting to put a barricade up at 10 for 2 hours or for 1 hour or whatever. Right. There are a lot of fun jobs, but there are a lot of kind of grunt work jobs. But I think really cool thing about that is you can feel like you're part of the event even if you're not a runner. But when you see all the runners, I think something magical happens, because you look and you go, oh, that person looks like I do. Oh, that person's 70 years old and they're doing the half marathon. What am I doing? Right? Or, oh, look at that woman, she's like 4 months pregnant. Well, maybe I can go out and run too. So I really think it serves two purposes. I think that huge volunteer pool of 1,500 volunteers or whatever it is on race day, I think they serve to let all these people run safely and happy, but I think it also serves to inspire the average person who's volunteering to say, you know what, maybe next year I'll do the Tamarack Ottawa Race Weekend.
We're going to go back to Glenna in just a second, but I just wanted to carry through on a thought you had about, which some people might not know, is the medical team. Is that just over here in the armories, there's an entire kind of portable hospital. So as when we've been talking about how sick some people have become by pushing themselves this hard, rest assured they are whisked away often by this Canadian Ski Patrol in a wheelchair, and they are seen by medical professionals. They're not just, let go to get in their car and drive home. So I just wanted to make sure that everyone understood there's a huge medical presence here. But we're almost out of time, so we're going to go back one more time, I think, to the actual finish line.
And now we're here with Nikki Moon, who had an interesting t-shirt on that says, first I run the miles, then I wear the scrubs. So Nikki, what's the story? What kind of scrubs do you wear?
So I'm a veterinarian, so I do small animal and mixed animal private practice, so everything from appointments to surgery.
Okay. And how does running help you?
It's a nice stress relief at the end of the day. It's a little bit of a kind of challenging job, so it's nice to burn off some stress.
Okay. Do you run on a regular basis to try to deal with the stress?
Yep. Try to run at least a few times a week. I'm training for a couple of marathons right now, so this is kind of part of the training plan.
Okay. Do you share that with the patients or with their parents?
No, not all the time, but I do have a couple that have run races with me, so that's fun too.
And do you have an animal that you run with when you normally train?
Yep, I have 2 dogs that I run with and hike with, so they're a little bit faster than I am. They have the advantage of having 4 feet, so.
Okay. And what did you do today? You didn't just do the run today, you're part of a challenge as well?
Right, I did the 10K and the 5K yesterday as well.
Okay. And how was the race for you? Was yesterday tougher than today or vice versa?
Today was definitely tougher than yesterday. Yesterday I probably went on a little faster than I should have because it felt good, but paid for it a little bit today, but it wasn't terrible.
And where have you come from? Are you from Ottawa, or it sounds like you might be from away?
Yeah, I'm from New York, so right on the border, Messina, Ogdensburg area.
Okay. And was this your first time doing the run in Ottawa?
No, I did the Lumberjack Challenge last year, so I did all the races last year.
Okay, well thank you. We hope we'll see you again.
Thank you.
You were just pointing out something really interesting that you could tell when it's someone's first year because they're wearing their race shirt, the Tamarack Race Weekend shirts, and the reason is, right, you can actually, when you're wearing a brand new T-shirt, you can hurt yourself.
Yeah, you can get chafing. You know, John always jokes about the 2 gunshot wounds on men because you see the bloody nipples.
Yes.
Which unfortunately you don't feel until after you take your shirt off and get home. The salt ends up creating friction. Right? So
the things you learn on our community hour. Yeah.
But you can actually buy a little silicone. They're called nip guards, and they will stop that pretty much, right?
Yes. But I also, I mean, when I did my first one, I wore the shirt proudly, and the chafing on your arms from sleeves, right? And you never want to wear something brand new anyway because the fabric is
you
tougher.
never want to wear new shoes. You can buy them at the expo. We encourage that, but you never want to wear anything new on race day because you just don't know if it's a stitch, and if it's something that bugs you, it could take your mind totally off your race and about the comfort. Same as food. If you don't take gels when you train, don't take them on the course. If you don't drink water, we encourage it, but if you have whatever you've been doing in training, you should do on race day. And a lot of times when we see people in kind of distress, it's because they tried something new.
And, you know, just to tie this sort of all up, because you were talking about how at the running room too, it's not just about, you know, which event, it's about a whole lifestyle. And the clothing thing really resonates with me because when I climbed Kilimanjaro, I did not plan for -10. You know, I thought, I'm going to a big hill in the middle, middle of Tanzania. How hard could it be? So the lessons learned, as John Stanton talked about, the lessons learned from running and from being part of a group impact all these other areas of your life, right? And we're seeing it here today.
For sure. Like, you talk about Kilimanjaro, and I mean, it's amazing. I can't even fathom doing that, but there's no Learn to Climb Kilimanjaro program. You can't just go to City Hall and say, oh, I'm going to sign up for Learn to Climb Kilimanjaro in 10 weeks. There's not really a lot of places. Of course, with the web now, probably easier, YouTube and stuff, but it's a lot easier to get advice on running than it would be to tackle something that monumental.
Well, and what John was talking about too is, you know, you can start with a 2K.
Yes. Yeah.
You know, I know a lot of people who, and one of my friends who uses a wheelchair, who did their 2K yesterday, and they were beaming.
As they should be.
As they should be, of course. And I know now they're hooked because it's such an amazing experience the first time you come through here, right? I mean, look at all these people, and I mean, they look tuckered out, but how amazing. I don't know if anybody can see this. I saw this lady leave. She's in a wheelchair crossing. She left for the marathon this morning. She just did it in 4 hours and 26 minutes. And I remember looking at her this morning and thinking, she is going to nail this.
And she's pumped.
Yeah, and all of her friends are cheering from the side.
You know, it's one of those things.
I want to thank you for joining me again this year and spending this hour as we focus on the community and also celebrate the elites that really showed us.
Yeah, it's been great fun.
Really showed us how slow the rest of us are.
Yes.
Okay. Yeah, now we can go celebrate with them and all of your students.
Call the Rogers TV viewer response line, email us, or connect with us on social media.
Play 4 games of bingo from the comfort of your own home each Monday at 7 p.m. for your chance to win money from our $2,000 regular bingo or $5,000 super bingo night. Kiwanis TV Bingo, Mondays at 7 p.m. on Rogers TV.
Do you have something to share? Let everyone know about your next meeting, your need for volunteers, or your fundraising event on the Rogers TV Community Billboard. Send us your words and we'll bring them to life on Rogers TV and rogerstv.com. When it's time to spread the word, go to rogerstv.com to add your announcement to the Community Billboard.
I'm Paula Roy from Paula Roy's Favorite Foods. Catch my show each week when I'm going to share with you some of my favorite recipes to make your home cooking more fun and more successful.
This is Rogers TV, Ottawa.